Can we just hear
across the board.
Donald Trump pontificate on the Louisiana Purchase? What context was he talking about this? He's in New Orleans and he's getting this is a speech. He's talking about basically, trying to, I guess, in some respects, cover for the government shutdown, assuring farmers, don't worry, help is on the way, except for it's not. But here he is. He's going to explain to us about Louisiana Purchase. Well, he's reading this, right? This is not extemporaneous.
Not only did we gain New Orleans, we doubled the size of the United States. We secured new parts and ports, new parts of the map and globe that we never thought.
Yeah,
and
that's
new
when
ports,
he fell
very
off.
important.
There he goes. That's what happens, right? He's got this prepared statement, and we gained new ports, and then he realized, parts of the country in ports.
Parts and parts.
So important. Ports are places where boats go back and forth in a port. Here he is talking about, again, getting lost in his teleprompter in the same speech, talking about farmers, trying to explain to farmers why the wall is important, despite the fact that they're not getting the slush fund that is necessary because of his trade barriers.
Thank you. As president, the defense of our nation is my highest and most important duty. And this is the defense of our nation, just like we prepare for other nations that you think more traditionally is what that sentence refers to. When it comes to keeping the American people safe, I will never, ever back down. I didn't need this fight. This is a rough fight.
Can we go back to the beginning? Because this is the problem. It's like he tries to go off the script, and then he just gets completely lost. Take it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As president, the defense of our nation is my highest and most important duty. And this is the defense of our nation, just like we prepare for other nations that you think more traditionally is what that sentence refers to.
Exactly.
When it comes to keeping the American people safe, I will never, ever back down. I didn't need this fight. This is a rough fight. We're dealing against people who think that if they can stop me from building the wall, again, we've already done a lot of work, but they think that's a good thing for 2020 because they're not going to win. They think if they can stop me from building the wall, that's good. This is the reason why they don't want the wall built, because they all know it works. They all approved it numerous times. I mean, Chuck Schumer had his hand up every time this would come up. The senators know this. They're only doing this because of the 2020 election, because I said I'll build the wall, and I'm going to build the wall, and it's only one of many things that I promised. I mean, if you look at...
I was able to make a lot of promises. Mexico going to pay for the...
Got you the biggest tax cut beyond the Ronald Reagan tax cuts. ANWR, getting rid of the individual mandate, the biggest cuts in regulations in the history of our country. And
there you go. Wow.
Well, I mean, part of it is true, right? Like the Democrats did say, Chuck and Nancy did say we need better border security, which was a real groaner moment. And that's why we need someone like Bernie who can't be forced to own the dumb things that the Democrats have done or be made to look like a hypocrite by this idiot.
Well, I don't know that Bernie wasn't on board with that, wouldn't have voted for that deal had they made it last year for DACA and whatnot. I'm sure
he probably would have. But I think that's really important, actually, to, look, there has to be a discourse on this that is in between, like, a future utopian goal of no borders and like kowtowing to Republican fascist talking points today. And I think that just like part of these litmus tests could be like, do you support demilitarizing the border? Like, what kind of border are you actually talking about is a major difference in policy that I want to see all of them start to differentiate themselves
but
on.
the also
mainstream
the reality
Dems don't
is,
want to demilitarize
Well,
look,
whatever the case. may be.
I don't know. I mean, the reality is, though, right now, is that the Republicans control 2/3 of the lawmaking ability, and so the question is, what position do you take? I don't agree with the rhetoric of the Democrats. I think they need have an actual immigration policy that lands somewhere, rather than just sort of these empty rhetoric,
And
because they're
Republicans are going to say
afraid
it's
of it.
socialist
But
anyways.
the American public is, let me put it this way. I don't think the Democratic Party, in saying that we're all for border security, is frankly too distant from the vast majority of the American public. I mean, maybe you have polling that shows that the vast majority of the American public doesn't want border security.
Definitely not.
But
But
I
could
haven't
it
seen
be?
that.
But could it be like polls on gun control, where most people, if you like, the top layer is like, oh, I'm moderate or maybe even like conservative on guns, but if you actually go down into the actual specific proposals,
the support may be weak for what border security is.
I would imagine
but
most
I think
Americans
most Americans
want
if
a
you
border,
say,
but
"Do
they
you
want to protect DACA.
Do you think there should be border security?
Yeah, of course.
I would imagine that it polls somewhere around 75 to 85%.
But like
course.
more border security, because that's what Chuck said.
If you said the words more border security, I would imagine you would get 75 to 85%.
Because also, I mean, I've seen some polls where Americans are generally supportive of immigration.
I think they are generally.
think they see a contradiction
I don't think
there.
they see a contradiction there at all. I mean, it's certainly been the process that we've had in this country for the vast majority of it. So I don't think they see a contradiction in it. I mean, the reality is, to expect the Democratic Party to be more progressive than, at least in terms of rhetoric, than 75% of the country, whatever that figure is, I think is just, it would be nice.
I think an area
and
though,
I think Democrats can be pushed in that way, but I think they need an immigration policy.
right, and I think they could lead a little bit by saying we're going to have
Without a doubt.
a strong, secure, blah 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 border, the stuff you need to say, but we're also not going to handle this like it's not a military threat. And we're not going to talk about it like a military threat. That's inaccurate.
Right.
And so on. you
Yeah,
know.
and also we're going to get rid of ICE because it serves no purpose other than to terrorize
To the
an already
extent that there's
marginalized population.
Any movement to get rid of ICE, it's coming from the Democrats. To
Well,
the extent
that's
that there's
another
any.
one that we got
Some
to be
of
really
them.
clear
Right.
about what they mean by it, right? Because
Yeah.
they're all saying it, but then that's going to there's going to be a lot of devil in details. On
I
that
think
one.
there's enough rhetoric going on that in the event that there is a Democratic president and a Democratic House and Senate, you're going to see reforms. And to what extent those reforms happen, we don't know.